Once again, a very good evening to you if you've just joined us. You're listening to Sweet Omagh Town Internet Radio, and I hope to be joined with my co-presenter, Declan Ford.
Donald, how are you doing today?
Pretty much as it were.
Another day in lockdown June.
It's
Another
true.
strange afternoon.
It certainly is. Declan, I don't know. What do you make of it? I suppose more importantly, because like myself, you're in self-isolation as well, as
I'm
most
in
of the time.
self-isolation like yourself, and barring getting into Omagh twice a week for provisions, I'm like something out of the Wild West. You'll get in the chuck wagon to get the bag of flour and the Indian meal.
You can't buy treacle in the shops though, can you?
Oh, no, you cannot.
I've been looking for treacle to make bread.
Do you know we're relatively well off over here? One of my offspring is in London, and she thinks that she may not be back until Christmas. And I think people in the cities are having a hard time of it. And people in kind of built-up towns, we're very lucky to be so near the countryside, aren't we?
Oh, it's a blessing, seriously. Isolation to us in this part of the world is strange because we're well used to not speaking to our neighbours and our families. We fall out and don't speak for weeks and months. So.
Oh, that's it.
Just sulk.
That is a trait, and it's a trait that has kept us going. We live, we live on dislike.
That's right. We don't talk to them, so we don't talk to anybody.
Oh, that's it. They don't talk to us.
Okay, all right.
Sometimes we don't even talk to each other.
Sure, I know.
But I'm a firm believer in the old Seamus Heaney poem, and also the Sands family of Colin and Tommy wrote a song out of it called "Whatever You Say Nothing."
I know. Well, some bright wag sent me a photograph of Greyfriars Bobby. A memory of little Benji.
Don't mention Benji to me after what he did to me, but my foot, my sock, my shoe never recovered.
Well, someone asked what became of him. Well, he lived a good life, but on 2012, but the 4th of March 2012, he became very unwell. And we took him to the vet. And the rest is history, I suppose. I had to go back up at 4 o'clock with his little blanket and be there when we put him asleep. And to be serious,
yes. I had the same experience. We had a cat. We have had many cats over the years. They adopt us. And this poor cat, it was a pure white cat. And did you realise that white cats are prone to cancer?
No.
And with all caution aside, it is said that you should actually put suntan lotion on their ears because their ears are always pink and the hairs don't protect their ears. But anyway, this cat of ours was a big age, and like yourself and poor Benji, you had to go down to the vet, and after deep discussion, and it was the option that was the kindest. And the vet was saying that it is always good for the owner to be there with the pet. That the pet won't, the dog or cat or whatever won't get distressed.
Yes.
If there's somebody there that they know.
Yes.
But it is a strange experience to go through.
It is difficult unless you've had a pet like that and understand that. Some people say it's just a dog or just a cat or something. It's much more than that because sometimes people's lives, get very, very close to their pets. And, often that cat or dog or something has heard a lot of things in life and been with you when other people have maybe walked out of your life as well. So I'd be very careful, people. Don't say it's just a dog or just a cat, or you can get another one, because it's not that simple. No.
Yeah. Well, when you think of it, especially when youngsters have grown up with dogs or cats or whatever, then, it becomes part of their lives. Mm-hmm. And though I must tell you a salutary tale. I have a brother living in London, and his 2 daughters, and one of them was way trained to be a nurse, and she had a hamster called Pebbles. And she wouldn't take Pebbles up to Liverpool with her, but insisted that the parents looked after her. And of course, every time she rang, how was Pebbles? So she loved the little animal that much that she wouldn't take it with her. Mm-hmm. But anyway, Pebbles disappeared. And you can imagine in a 2 up, 2 down in Twickenham, they were searching high and low. And no sign of Pebbles, and the thought, will we tell Jessica? What, it'll break her heart and her away in Liverpool. And one evening, out of the corner of his eye, Tony noticed this rotund, big, rather small lump wheezing its way up the stairs. It was Pebbles.
goodness.
Pebbles had broken out of his cage, found a little hiding place, and was going down, stealing food, and getting fatter and fatter and fatter. It was like a room. You know the way the Romans brought over the dormouse?
Of course, yes.
Yes, and the dormice apparently in England are now a protected species. And what they used to do with these little rodents, they would put them in a ceramic jar with food and seal it, of course, obviously, let a bit of air in. And then the dormice would eat and eat and eat and get fat as a fool, and then they were ready for the pot.
The dormouse sleeps the winter through and doesn't get up like me and you. There's the fish, boy, still there.
Oh,
after 60
your
years.
report, Mr. McGurgan.
You're a teacher, Mr. Ford. You know, I often thought about, when you were a teacher and you couldn't.
Sorry to interrupt you, but you were saying that, you know what came into my head? Kinky Friedman.
Oh.
Now, do you know Kinky Friedman?
No, I can't say I do, no.
Kinky Friedman is astute in politics. He is a very left-wing American country and western thing, and I'm kicking myself. He was in Letterkenny a number of years ago, and I missed him. But he's an author, and he is a very, very. Let's say he wouldn't be played on local radio
because of his politics or music.
I was just looking at his website last night.
Right.
It was what Naomi Judd taught to her daughters: wash your hands and say your prayers. Germs and Jesus are everywhere. Isn't that brilliant?
Well, you could.
Yes, but sorry for interrupting you. Yep.
Not at all. I was thinking about your teaching days, and I often wondered, when you're doing, the greeting for the parents coming to meet the teacher and they hear about their son and daughter and stuff,
Yes.
I wonder, is there time to tell us something about that? I imagine there has to be something that happened in your past that you'd love to say to someone now that no one's listening.
Oh, no. Well, did you know what? I used to love parent-teacher meetings. I used to love them because you could sit and you could chat away to the parents, and and it didn't take parents too long to suss out whether or not you actually knew their child.
I bet so.
Did you know that?
No.
I've never had a bad experience at a parent-teacher meeting. I must say.
We are. But, what about your past people, Stacken?
There was one man.
Right, go ahead.
I worked with, and there's a sole comment on a student was Dole Q.
What? Dole Q?
Dole Q, and that was it.
Oh, well.
And that did not say a lot.
Tell me this.
Now, how's that for encouragement?
Oh, no, it is. Well, just, speak your truth, I would say.
Yeah.
What about your past people? Do you ever meet them out in the town at all, or would they say anything to you?
You would the odd time.
Wow.
You would the odd time, and it's great when somebody will come up to you and talk, and actually just talk about, how what they thought of school, what they thought of your teaching methods and whatever, I think by and large I discovered it in life. If you treat people with civility, they'll treat you with civility.
Indeed they will. Indeed they will.
Oh,
no. But it can be funny. It reminds me of a story of a very good friend of ours. We'll not mention any names here or the name of the band that they play on, but there's a couple of friends of ours who were teachers.
Right.
And they were playing at a wedding one night, and one of the guests came up to the band. They were getting ready to get the gear and stuff like that, and they says, "Do you know me, sir?" And the teacher says, "Well, the last time I spoke to you, probably hadn't got a beard, so, you have me here."
Right.
"Oh, God, I remember you," he says. "You teached me English." The rest of the guys in the band, I think, never gave him a minute's peace. He'd never lived it down.
But funny, I met up actually with past people of mine. Oh, I was over in London last year. And I remember him and his brother. They lived in Kerry. And I taught in Armagh for when I started teaching. And as young fellas, they were into that Michael J. Fox film, Back to the Future.
Right.
And they had actually done their own film of Back to the Future, complete with models and little cardboard cutouts, and the skateboard had just been introduced at that point. And they lived in the outskirts of Kerry. Their father was a mechanic and also a farmer. And in one of the outhouses, they actually had constructed a cinema. complete with old cinema seats. Remember the old red plush velvet
Yes,
seats?
very well, yes,
And you'd hit them with your hand and the dust would rise in the air
Oh,
like a smoke signal. But anyway, they had about 6 or 7 of these and old movie posters, and they invited me down to see the film. And it was brilliant. Like, they were about maybe 14, 15 years of age. I hadn't seen them in a long time, and one of them was back in Armagh. He'd written a book called Country.
Right.
And it's set in South Armagh during the Troubles, and it takes the story of Homer's Iliad and transposes it to South Armagh.
Oh, well.
Very, very clever. A brutal book, but a very clever book. And I went down to the young fella, Michael Hughes, was reading extracts from the book, and it was absolutely lovely to meet up with him, and just to have a chat with him. And he was living in London and working in London, and he made a few forays into the movie world. I think, in fact, Ardal O'Hanlon made a film with him at the start of his career.
Mm-hmm.
And just lovely, to meet up, just to catch up, and somebody that is as civil,
Yes,
and as pleasant and as affable as he was
wonderful.
as a youngster, and just to catch up about his mother. She had long retired.
That reminds me, you mentioned that the cinema seats there, reminds me of one of the few times you and I were out interviewing, and I saw you getting stuck for words.
Yes.
We were interviewing the late Eva Donaghy, who was the wife of the man who built the cinema in Omagh.
That's right.
And Mr. Ford thought...
up the Dublin Road.
Yes, it was the Dublin Road, that's right, yes.
Yes.
And go ahead, tell them what you done.
She was a lovely woman, but I, as you well know, I'm a poet at heart. And I wrote a poem called The Man Who Loved Maureen O'Hara.
Yes.
And I sent 2 copies to Maureen O'Hara, and she sent me a signed copy back, which was very civil of her. She was living in I think it was in Cork, or Kerry. Cork, I think it was at the time.
Right.
But anyway, I remember that interview well, and I suppose I got a bit full of myself. And I said, Mrs. Donaghy, when we finished the interview, I'll recite a poem I wrote about the cinema. Right? Now, this was great. I'll tell you the story of Packy McCrory, who lived near the foot of our lane. He was a pure holy terror for Maureen O'Hara and dreaming of being John Wayne. Now, that's going great. Until I suddenly remembered that I made reference to fleas in the cinema. And I came up to that line, and all I could think was, I'm going to have to change that line, and I could feel the beads of sweat rolling down.
You turned a whiter sheet of peel. I was there, for God's sake.
I know you were there. Kittern. And anyway, she was smiling. And I came to the bit, as fleas chewed. Packy sucked on a cinnamon sweet, and the smile remained, but the eyes were not smiling when I mentioned the fleas.
So I'm not the only one who had an experience with Jay's fluid.
Moments in my long and miserable life.
Do I think I still have that on tape?
Me an awful lesson.
I'm going to let the good people hear that,
Oh.
I think it's there somewhere. I think I have. But we'll run that interview of the late Eva Donaghy sometime fairly soon as well.
She was a lovely woman.
And
great memory.
Yeah.
And but that taught me a lesson.
I bet it did, Declan. I bet it did. Here.
It did indeed.
And speaking of jokes, does the name Joe Given ring a bell?
Bum bum.
I've gone through tapes. I found an interview of the late and great Joe Given here as well, Declan.
Oh yeah, that was in the Sacred Heart.
In the Sacred Heart, all right, aye. Now,
I remember it. I remember it vividly.
It was a difficult man to tie down.
The mechanic came along, and also, who was the parish priest?
Oh, we'll not mention his name, but
he came along as well.
Yes, he did indeed. And
right.
I think Joe got nervous. Joe didn't want to particularly talk to us. I think maybe that's what it was, and he just felt maybe he didn't think it had anything good to say. Imagine something like that. But he had a wonderful history of the church.
He was just incredible.
And then the parish priest at the time was very keen to hear it as well. So he sat in, and then sometimes when people are sitting watching you, they can throw you a wee bit. But Joe got through it anyway, and we'll let you hear that now in the near future as well. All been well.
It was a very good interview.
Right, and speaking of good interviews, I'm going to play one now tonight. And it's going to take you right back to the days of the Wine Lodge in Omagh and the County Bar.
Yeah.
And the late and great...
I seem to recollect the Wine Lodge I'm talking about now, the 1970s.
Yes.
But I may remember my brother talking about, I think, having a drink with Rory Gallagher in the Wine Lodge.
Yes, he would have been there quite often, yes, yeah. Yes.
But you're talking, I presume, about the generation before that.
Not necessarily. No, the wine lounge was the lounge above the county bar. The county bar obviously was the bar downstairs, and then in sort of the late 60s, early 70s, the owner then, Brian O'Kane, opened up the first lounge, and then the wine lodge, a place where you could have bought wine by the bottle, because in those days it was probably unheard of, really. You could have bought a bottle of wine in a pub, but you would have just got a bottle of Blue Nun or whatever was the flavour at the time. There was certainly no...
Matthew's Rosé.
Ah, yes. Mm-hmm.
That were made into then, God knows, nearly every house in the country must have a lamp made out of Matthew's Rosé.
You still get them in the charity shops.
Along with your dimple whiskey.
Right. So Eddie Quinn was the barman downstairs, and for many years Eddie rode a bicycle, a big black bicycle, same as my father's.
Well.
And he had the most beautiful style of riding a bicycle of his time. You know, that sort of style during the war, where with great poise and great dignity, and he wore this lovely big gabardine coat. And Eddie would have
and a flat cap.
And a flat cap, yes.
I remember him well. He lived around Johnson Park.
He would have done, yes, that's right. And he recalls with great fondness his early days growing up and going to school in Carson School, and his Christian brother. And it's a tough time tackling schools those days, when you think the brutality of it. I know it was of its time, but it wasn't simple for someone like him, just to be slapped about and stuff like that by the teachers, and But as I say, he survived all that and had a good, long, happy life, and we'll talk about pubs in Omagh, because the bars in Omagh have changed. Well, the facades mightn't have changed, but the names above the doors not have changed. And at one time there was well over 33 pubs in Omagh. Not sure how many are left. I'm not sure how many will be after this lockdown ends.
Well, yes, indeed.
But it'll be interesting to hear how pubs ran in those days and what that was like. And Eddie was there during the war and when the American soldiers were here.
That's right. He talked about some of his memories were just of another side of the war. And there's just about the ordinary life in Omagh, but how the segregation between the American troops was visible.
70 years, what has changed, actually?
No, that's it. Especially with now what has gone on now this past while in America, and also the protests both locally and in London.
So without further ado, folks, we'll let you sit back and listen to the wonderful memories of the late and great Eddie Quinn.
Started in the Brothers' School in April 1925. There was a brother McGuinness was a red-haired man was in charge of the primary at the time, and Brother Keane was the superior. Brother Ryan, there was a Brother Ryan. They were upstairs. I never had any contact with them, but I knew them to see, Brother Burke, big tall Brother Burke, was there at the time. He was there for 20 years, I think, But well, that was my first experience nearly of the town, And I knew a lot of the lads then. I got to know a lot of the boys that, about the town, And Peachy McInhull from the Salem Cottages and Hugh McInhull. They were at the Brothers' School. They came, I used to be with them, and I used to get into to school with Jim McKnight on a milk cart in the morning,
Where did you live at that stage?
I lived where there in Mullaghmore, where my brother lived there, and I used to, McKnight had a dairy farm up there in Lisboy, up above the Verney, and they used to come past our house. We used to get milk from them, you see. And there were other people, we weren't the only ones, there were other neighbours got milk as well, And I used to get a lift in with him on the horse and spring cart, And I do a couple of houses up down Allen's Road, they call it, Camoan Terrace. Used to go down the front of the terrace and do a house at the bottom and come up the back. And up the Salem Road way up to above the hospital. And done a couple of houses up there, and then down and done a couple of houses in Campsie Road there, and I used to get off there somewhere about Campsie Bridge and going up to the school,
Well, what was the milk delivered in? Was it in tins?
Just creamery cans.
Creamery cans.
And then he measured it out and he'd paint tons, But I remember, all the ordinary people got milk out of the back 2 tons, out of the back 2 cans, and all the big knobs got milk out of the front one. The back ones was watered. But I'm not trying to make little of them, but it was funny that we never got milk out of the front car. Their house we always got it at the back. But I used to know these boys that were down in Camoon Terrace and these big noise. They got milk out of the first can. And another cart I used to get into school was Mickey Haley had a coal business, and he had a couple of horses. And an old fellow called Billy Mills, he died there a couple of years ago. He used to get on with him sometimes in a flat cart. And Watterson, the Royal Arms, well, they owned a mill there between the Salem and Killyclougher. You know the wee burn there, what they call Cranny Bridge there or something. Well, this lane was on there, and there's another lane foot further up. Well, the mill was up there, you see, and there was a big dam up along the Carrickmore Road there, where they used to feed there was a mill race, you see, and that's water come down and turn the mill wheels, you see. You could turn it onto the wheels or you could turn it off onto the burn again, But I used to get in sometimes with an old fella that one of their carts, they had a couple of horses in the carts too, used to come to school now, and I was walking to school. And I walked from the brother's school to home. It was an hour's walk, and that was without delaying or dallying along the road. You just were walking on,
What age did you start school at?
I was about 10 when I went to the brothers,
Can you remember any of the brothers that would stand out in your mind?
I remember we called Brother Quinn had me a slap on the jaw when they're doing the exam to go up into the secondary school, you see. And I was up and I was in the very front. There was 3 rooms upstairs at the time. Middle room and upstairs, you see. That was the grammar school then. And I was in the very front seat under the statue. And I had my school bag sitting beside, the big page of paper that you get and you have to learn a margin on. I stooped down to get my ruler out of my bag. I had the bag at my feet. And he hit me an uppercut. I was coming up and he hit me in a slap in the jaw and another. I can hear it yet, the silence of the. If ever I got my hands on him when I got back, I'd have hung him, Dirty wee, and a wee old croy, it was no size, But he didn't ask, and I couldn't start the paper without the ruler. You see how to get it. He didn't ask me what I was doing or anything, He just hit me. And that's one memory. And another memory, a brother called Brother O'Hanlon. He was next superior after Keane left. And he was standing in the yard. We used to play in the yard. There's a ton house affair on it now, that used to be the playground. We were standing along the wall, and they come along and he says, "What's your name?" I say, "Eddie Quinn." "Eddie Quinn," I says. He was mocking my accent, and I never forgot it either. Some things sticks in your mind. I could take it to the spot, I don't know what way I felt that day. I felt mortified, Oh, there were some of them rough, And I remember wee Brother Doyle giving a fella 25 slaps one day. It was in first class. He asked him some simple question, and I think everybody in the class knew it when he called him McGillian was the working fellow that was asked, And every time, he must have given him 1 slap at first, and then he asked him the second time, he must have given him 2 again, and every time he must have given him 2 slaps, till he eventually got the right one. Till he had 25 slaps. Well, that was ridiculous,
But what about laymen in the school?
Brother, they weren't too bad, the layman. But an old fella called, I didn't like him when I went there first, Harry Gormley, and he wasn't even a qualified teacher, I don't think at all. But he was teaching. You see, when I went to the brother's school, it wasn't under the government. You had to pay school fees. You see, it was.
That was independent voluntary school.
It was an independent school, They had their own books. You had their own. I often wondered could I never get my hands on their first class leader. I'd love to get my hands on it. There were some good poems on it, Didn't realise at the time there was a sort of a canvas back on it, a green book, and their own Irish composition they called it, Irish aids they called it, and different books that there was their own. And well, them too I can remember, but I mind paying school fees, So then sometime, that was what Brother Doyle was in first class, I was still paying school fees. And I went upstairs, I went upstairs in 1926, it must have been 27. And Brother Hamill come as boss of the primary. And Doyle and him was there for a year, right now. And then Doyle was changed. But that was when the primary come on top, when Hamill come in 27, that was come on to the government then at that time. But we didn't know nothing about that, You never heard anything about it, but it just occurred,
Well, then, see, in the school, what about the canteen? How did you manage that? Did you bring a lunch?
There was no canteen, you brought your lunch.
And were there any places nearby that would serve food? Or was it all in the school?
No, you just said there's no food about the school. You bloody well fasted if you hadn't at your own, you know. And sometimes you'd I mind going to the Carson school, we used to have the lunch ate before it got to it, you know, and you never got a bite till you got home at 4 o'clock in the evening. And I wasn't the only one. We used to be going up that road there from Ballinamullen, you know, straight up there past the electricity board. And that was a big field at that time. I mean, seeing 3 sets of horses ploughing and that. And you see a clatter of patient men out working, and they used to questions used to do all the work, like, you know.
From
the farming, like, you know. Oh, it's a changed place.
Well, who taught you in Carson?
A man called John Brogan, Master Brogan, they called him. He lived in Farm Hill near Killyclougher there on the left hand side of it. Used to be Keenan's owned it. I think they sold it there. There's somebody else living on it now. Roddy Tierney owns it, as a matter of fact, that land now. Keenan's place. Queer farm it was, queer grazing farm, to the war coming and cropped it, you know. It used to be, I remember you were up there, I remember being up and above the Carson school, up there somewhere hunting, and I could see Keenan's fields, and you could have seen the difference in them and the other fields around with the colour. There were always a great crop of grass on them, you know. But then the wartime they had a crop, you see, and it was going, Keenan's looked after it well. They used to get my brother that died there, we used to chain her at it, and I done bits of work on it myself, like, you know, with a horse, and sewing that artificial stuff on it, you know. And salt, Keenan's killed their own pigs and cured the bacon on the town there, you know. And they used to the salt that they used to take it out and throw it on the ground, like, you know. Oh, it was good. And they had a slaughterhouse on it. When I was a cub, I used to go to the slaughterhouse one time, and Mick McGinn, a fellow called from Killyclougher, and a man called Tom Yehan, the 2 butchers. And then they had a sliding door, you see, and you could see it from where I was reared. And if the sliding door was open, you see, you knew the butchers were out, you see, and they used to go up across the fields, you see. And I remember, Mick McGinn come from my brother's school. Mick got me into the spring cart and taking me around by Killyclougher. I had to go around by Killyclougher to get into it, you see. I would have been going through the lovers estate, taking me around to pull on a beast for them into the slaughterhouse. You know, they had a beast, and they used to put them on 3 or 4 days and fast them, you see, off the field. You know, and they were fast, and all they got was a drink of water. And then they would be killed, and you put a rope around their head, and there was a ring in the wall, and you pulled them on, pulled their head on, and hit them with a hatchet on the head. You know. No humane killer or nothing at that time. And the blood used to go down the drain. That's all saved, and the barrel full of the inside of the cow was threw out in the dump in the top of the field, you know. And all the dogs of the country used to go to it. The smell of it would knock you down even faster, like, you know. And if a dog went, let you know when he come home where he was, you know. You could smell him, like, you know.
Well then, can you remember any other teachers in Carson, other than Master Brogan?
Mickey McMullen, it was a school with me taught on it afterwards, and a man called Devlin from Gorgon country was on it.
Well then, back to your days in Carson school, can you remember any of the pupils in the same year, the same class as you?
Oh, I can remember. I have a photograph of it. I had it and I lent it to Eddie McMahon some time ago to get one taken off and never got it back. And I knew them all, like I could name them all on it, you know. Taken about 1924. Oh, there's one row across it in the middle of the photo and they're all dead. Well, no, there's one, my brother's, I think the first one on it. He's still alive, and he was only Jim McGuire, the next, Henry Moffat, Willie Carmichael. I can't remember, Willie McKenna, I can't remember the rest of them, but there's a whole row just across the middle, about 6 or 7 across the middle. Quite a lot of them, most of them's all dead, like, you know. But I never got this photograph back, you know. But I was at him about it there one Sunday coming out of the chapel, you know. It was about, it's in the last year I landed to him, you know, to get one taken off it and it's never come back, like, you know.
Well, then Michael McMullen and George McDermott were the same age?
Oh, they were at the brothers' school.
Oh, at the brothers' school?
Oh, they weren't, but Mickey McMullen taught in the Carson afterwards.
I see.
But George McDermott was at the same class as me, I think.
In the brothers?
In the brothers, aye. Although George is a year older than me. I was, and he's dead now, of course.
Well then, back to the brothers then. What games would you have played, or would there been any games?
The only games were usually a half day in the week when in the grammar school, like, you know. Went down to the Brothers Park with an old football, you know, a bit of kicking football, like, you know.
Soccer or Gaelic?
A mixture, I suppose, probably. I don't remember much about it, like, but then later on, like, when I was playing Gaelic, they had a good Gaelic team in the Brothers. That time, like, you know, the senior boys were all playing Gaelic. You know, matter of fact, there was one of the Kellys from the cottages was at the school. He used to play for Kelly Glover, like, you know. And he was a student at the Brothers at the time, like, you know. Good player he was too.
But when you were at the Brothers, there wasn't a tradition of Gaelic at all?
Not at all, no. And after I left it, there was a brother Burke there. And he had a rugby team going on its way in the early 30s. Would have been, you know.
Well, then when you left the tech,
Left the tech and went to O'Kane's.
What possessed you to go into the bar trade?
I don't know, to get away from school, I suppose. I got fed up with the school, I suppose, you know. And it was the worst job I ever done, going into a bar, like, you know.
Well, what age did you?
I was 16 then, when I went to the bar, like, you know. I'd done a year at the tech, just, you know. And a fella called Joe McKenna was there in the Salem cottages there. Joe was at Carson School along with me. And he come and told me about the job in Garda's. And that was where Jewelers was. Well, that was a pub then. And the only thing I got out of it was the wife out of it. My wife, I married her, like, you know, she was one of the Garda's, you see. But I served my time there with a fellow called James McCusker. He was the barman. He was as odd as 2 left feet, like, you know, but he was terrible good to me. He was very good to me, like, you know. Never bought a cigarette. I was smoking, like, you know, like hell when I was that age, you know. Never bought a cigarette, a packet of fags every night when I was going out. And he was great. He was a great fellow, but you never could weigh him up, you know. You do someone that you know in testing and you annoy him. Touchy, like, you know, very, very touchy. Something that nobody else would take any notice of, you know. But he was good natured and terrible good to me, like.
And he was the barman?
He was the senior, he was the man in charge. And he was a character, like, you know.
Well, how long were you there in the
I was 5 or 6 years in Garda's, along with Jimmy McCusker.
And when you started off then, you know,
Then I went out,
serving your time, what was the first thing you would do?
Washing bottles and washing photo bottles and bottling stout.
And when you started, were you allowed to serve customers, or did you have?
Oh, I even done there at night. I done relieved him every other night. Yeah, I would be off Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday this week, and Tuesday and Thursday the next week. He'd be off Monday and Wednesday and Friday the next week, and I'd be off Tuesday and Thursday. You know, the two of us was there on a Saturday night. But you didn't know, you done the bar too, like, you know.
Just in the deep end of it.
Oh.
Well, then, when did you leave? You left Garda's then when you served your time? 5
or 6 years in Garda's, 5 years, I think. I left Garda's, then I was up in Dublin for a while. And I couldn't get onto the bar in Dublin, like, you know. The union was the trouble. Like, you had to serve your time in Dublin, and you wouldn't. The union was a closed shop. But the job with barman was a better job in Dublin. There's a year like the union, you know, they were well looked after by the union, like, you know. As soon as closing time come at night, the towel went over the thing, and that was it. No more serving. And you were in a pub here, and you come on, and just when you were closing the door, you'd bet you on to the step, and half an hour after they were looking for another bottle of stout, like, you know.
Well, then, how long did you spend in Dublin?
A little over a year and a half, or something.
Did you find a big change from Omagh?
I never liked it. I'd rather have Belfast than Omagh than Dublin. You open your mouth in the bus, you see them looking at you, you know, the Dublin people, you know. You know, northern accent, they didn't like the northerners, I don't think, you know. They used to call us the Belfast people, like, you know. And I didn't realise I lived as far from Belfast nearly as Dublin, like, you know. But I think they thought they were clever too, like, you know, they thought they were. There was never woman, she's dead and gone too, never heard, she was, you know, Eileen McGuire, Eileen's sister, she was Mrs. Brett. She lived in a place called Meath Square, off Thomas Street. And the brother and me was in Dublin. We used to go over to Brett's at night. You see, there's her and the husband and the one child, like, you know. And we used to be acting like God. And there was 3 girls from the neighbourhood, like, used to come on, you know. And we had Niall Melodian. We used to be playing Niall Melodian and dancing and carrying on and acting idiot, you know. Best of good fun, like, you know. But these girls thought they were taking a hand at us, I think, you know. They thought because we're from the country that we're mugs, you know. we got a bucket of chocolate later one night and mixed my sweets and given them and ate the whole lot. They just from the country, like, you know. But I never liked the Dublin people. Like, give me the impression that you were an outsider, like, you know. You weren't one of the crowd, like, you know.
What did you?
If you knew some of them personally, they seemed all right. But meeting somebody there just casually, like, you looked at you like it's just not to one of them, you know.
And gulping from the company. Well, did you get working in a bar at all?
Never done a tuck in Dublin at all, no. We used to be out kicking football at the back, up at Inchicore. We were living in Inchicore, like, and we used to be out kicking football. And a little bit of waste ground at the back. We had a fella called Paddy Moore and a fella called John Tracy, and Richardson, Riley. And look at the boys from about the area, you know, we had a little ball out in the field at the back, like, you know. I used to have a good I did like at a hopeless point, like, you know.
But then you came back to Omagh.
Back, my sister sent me a thing, an ad that was in the Herald from Frank O'Kane's looking for somebody to relieve holidays, and answered the ad, and I got the answer, and to come back and I come to O'Kane's, and that's how I went to O'Kane's, and I stayed too bloody long in it.
Well, what was O'Kane's like? Could you describe it now? Could you kind of build a picture of it? Could you describe what it was like?
A funny thing, I dream about it quite regular. Now, and when I was on it, I never dreamt about it. And I dream about Aikens and all the time. And I never dreamt about either of them when I was working on the bloody places, like, you know. But I dream quite regular about O'Kane's and Aikens, funny thing, you know.
And what
and it's always, and I'm always in a bloody difficulty in O'Kane's, like, you know, something going wrong, like, you know. Usual thing, like, you know.
Well, could you describe it? Was it big?
Oh, it was fair size. I remember counting the customers at there was 72 people and there was 4 hours behind the counter. We were working.
And I did a good trade.
And when I done the trade of the town at one time, like, you know. We were doing £300 a week, 350 or £60 a week, when a bottle of stout was a shilling. That was money. There was some money taken in a half of whiskey, about 1 and 6pence or something, without money. £100 on the Saturday, and we were working.
And that would be fairly steady from...
Well, it was steady. He was supposed to tell somebody he made 5,000 a year for 20 years on it. No, I know, he never told me because he was expecting me. He was always telling me that he never made nothing. I made the books going back from the auditor one time. He says, I lost money. And he says, if I lost money, I'd get rid of it. He said nothing more.
Well, what were the hours?
Well, the hours was, well, I wasn't too bad in O'Kane's. Like, I had a couple, two nights in the week and a half day, you know. And later the half day, like, I didn't get the half day to look for it, like, you know. But I worked every bank holiday and I never got anything extra for it. You worked Boxing Day. You never got anything, just one other day.
There's no time and a half.
No time, not at all. No, you didn't even get it. Well, you should have been getting a day off in lieu of, you know, of some of them days. But no, you didn't expect it. You weren't going to get it anyhow, you know. Nobody was getting it. Oh, you'll tell you won't kill with time off. And
well, Saturday would have been a very busy day.
Saturday would have been the busiest day you'd have, like, you know.
And any days during the week that there would have been a...
Well, there'd be right crowded at night there, you know. There'd be right and busy during the night, always. Wouldn't be that busy during the day, or, you know. But one thing that sticks in my mind, I remember 5 or 6 people coming on one night, and I got drinks, or I suppose there was 5 or 6 drinks, and it come to 17 shillings, and I thought it was terrible. And now it would be £17 nearly, you know, for the same. But like at that time, 5 or 6 shillings would be a big drink, like half a crown and 3 bob maybe, or 2 shillings or something was the most of the money that you were taking, you know, unless that you were selling a bottle of whiskey or something. A bottle of whiskey 12 and 6pence and a bottle of Irish whiskey 15 shillings. That was money.
Well then, what time did the pub close at night?
10 o'clock. Closed the doors at 10. You never got out at 10, half 10, like, you know. And I was out before half 10, and on night I'd be working late. I'd be lucky to be out at half 10, like, you know. And there was a fellow called Cecil Collins, and Cecil would come on at maybe 9:30 or 10:15, and he'd be there, and if he thought anybody was behind him, he would stand on with a wee drop of porter in the bottom of a glass, you know, like that. Stand on. He wanted always to be the last going out. And there was another fellow, Darky Hamilton. He was a blacksmith. He made all the railings in front of the chapel there, you know. Other people made all them. There are blacksmith swords there in Kevlin Road. And his people like made them, and the stairs and the chapel there down onto the hall, the hall down, what do you call it, St. Vincent's Hall, I think, where we do the counting. And it was them made the twisted stairs, like it was them made the handrail down it, Well, they were very good blacksmiths, like in that time. And when they were building at the chapel, he was a couple, and they were building at the chapel, and they used to sharp all the tools for the specialists. There were specialists here from Adelaide, cutting out the figures on the. And the Hamiltons sharpened all the tools. Darky used to tell us about we'd take them over and get them sharpened, bring them back. Well, now he was very proud of the chapel, like old Darky Hamilton. Protestant too, like, Oh, Protestant. But he used to come into O'Kane's, you see, and he'd be looking for another bottle of stout at 10:30, like, And I remember one night in summer evening, I was standing, and I could see, if I was standing at the register, I could see, you could see somebody passing the door. I seen him passing the door at 9:15, and I thought to myself, well, he's not too far away. Like. And after a couple of months, I slipped out the door, and he was standing with his two elbows on the bank railings, And at 10 minutes to 10, he came in, and at 10:25, he asked me for another bottle. And he stood on the street from 9:15 to 10 to 10. Like. And they wouldn't come in, and they wouldn't go out when they got in, like, They wanted to stay all night. Well, there's something about drinking after hours that I don't know what it is. They seem to get a kick out of it, They wouldn't come on the turns. There were a couple of fellas called turns. They were the same. They wouldn't come on to the last hours.
The barman didn't have a life at all.
No, at all. No. And tradesmen, fellas working at O'Kane's doing something, like Wiggins doing something, builders and all, doing some building work or something, but it went to 6:15 in the evening. They started getting up their tools to 6:15, and the same fellas asked me for a bottle of stout at 10:30, Oh, there's bars, no life. I wouldn't take the gift of the best pub in the town unless to sell it. I would sell it surely, but I wouldn't work in it again. O'Kane, not O'Kane's, after I left, O'Kane's wife asked me to do part-time, so I know I got enough of the bloody job. No more bar for me, like. All the tramps of the day annoying you, like,
Well, then what about characters that would come in?
There was different characters. There was George McMahon, and was a good character, a fellow called George McMahon. Darky Hamilton was a character too, like, and Johnny McPolan, Bobby Lunn. There were different characters that come on,
What about Mickey Morgan? Would he be?
Well, Mickey was a bloody nuisance, like, at times, like, Got rid of Mickey. It was all right if he wasn't drunk, like, we got a few drinks, he was a bloody nuisance, like, You'd have to hunt him. But McMahon was a great character, like, he was a very droll boy, like, brilliant, great wit. Used to have some great laughs at him, So, everything would go around George the Duff, one of these clangers, There was he come in one day and there was a fellow standing with his back to the fire down at the fireplace, He knew him something. Well, John, he said, are you warming the whole of your body? And the man standing with his back to the fire, And there was a yarn got out one time. There was nothing about this yarn. There was a yarn got out at Irwinstown. There was this woman, she was a nurse, and her husband was running about with other women, you see. Supposed to be, there was only a bloody story got up, but everybody was talking about it. And she was supposed to get him sleeping this time. She gave him a whiff of chloroform and castrated him, you see. And everybody said, that's a wild handle in Irwinstown, So nobody, that everybody told us, that's a wild handle in Irwinstown, you see. And so this night in Johnny Cherokee and Mick McGowan and a lot of the boys were in the bar, and on come, and we were discussing this thing, you see. And on come McMahon, you see. And McGowan was over, he says, I don't know what heading they'll put this in the paper, George. Oh, George says the only heading I know they can put it under says woman cuts family lines of husband. And he never had a think. Now, it wasn't said he knew what was going on, He never had a think, like, Oh, he was brilliant,
Was he very droll?
Oh, he was droll. He was a great character, like, He said he went down to the bond store. The bond store used to be there opposite the Bank of Ireland, And then there was what they called the gauger. He would be the excise man. He was there, the gauger would be there, you see. And whiskey would have been about maybe 10 or 11 pound a gallon, like, at that time, like, for a gallon of whiskey, like, and till the duty was paid on it, you see, it was like water, He says, we're down to the bond store, he says, and Paddy McGill was there, and Paddy gave me I think, you see, and Joe Camel was there, that's all publicans, you see, and he gave me one. Somebody else gave him one, you see, and The gauger gave me, that's what they call the cack size man. The gauger gave me one. He says, I was round the back, he says, and I took one myself. He says, and I was walking about, he says, and the flare just come up and hit me in the face. He didn't force the flare up and hit him in the face. Like. It was great character. And there was another man, it was in Wordage carts. He was a cart, the head man of the carts. You know, they used to have 3 or 4 carts, like horses delivering stuff in the town. Bob Black, he was the man in charge, and he used to go to the bond store on Wednesday. Wednesday was the bond store day. See Black went up the horse, took him up the street, like, you know. Lying back in the cart now. From drunk, from full, you know. Of course, there was no traffic of that to the same extent that there is now, like, you know.
Well, what was the bond store? Was that for?
That's for you got whiskey. You see, you could buy whiskey in the distillery there, and 3 or 4 or 5 or as many barrels as you wanted of whiskey, you see, and put it on the bond store. But which I had to pay a certain amount.
What was like a government?
The government place, you see,
warehouse or whatever.
big warehouse, like, you know, and you'd have it on there. You'd have it on there for years. You see, you'd get it maybe for new whiskey, and you put it on for 7 years, like, you know. But when you took it out, you had to pay the tax, and you had to go with a guaranteed check. You didn't go with a check. You had to go to the bank and get the check guaranteed for enough to cover the duty. You know roughly how much. But the government wouldn't give you nothing.
And where was the bond store?
Just opposite the Bank of Ireland there. There's some sort of a, what do you call it? A place, sort of a foundry sort of a place or something about it now, isn't it?
Car.
Yeah, metal place, I know, some description. Then in later years, McAllister's of Ballymena had it. You know, they had it at one time. But in later years...
That was for spirits?
But there's nobody on it now, like, you know. Spirits, mostly spirits that was on it, like, you know. I never seen any beer, nothing like that on it.
Well, then the stout and beer, that would come to Omagh by train?
Come by train to the station there, barrels of stout if you want, and the railway carts would bring it down to you, like, and then later years after the railway carts went off, the transport men used to bring it down in the lorries, you know. And
then when did Irish Bond and Bass move in with that?
Well, that had been away about, I left in 70, that had been in the late 60s, I suppose, like, you know. It was all changing then about that time, like, you know. I don't know exactly when the date was.
So it was as recent as that?
Oh, I see. Keane used to have whiskey in the bond store. We used to keep Jameson whiskey in it, barrels of Jameson. We'd get it out, and I'd have to rack it, you know, and water, put the water on it and all, you know. Maybe 10 over proof, you have to bring the 30 under proof.
And you'd have to control that yourself then?
Oh, you could test it, you see, instruments there for you, a thermometer, and I forget what they called it. A thing with a big brass ball on it, like, you know, and you put weights on the stem, like, you know, and it was marked off, and the long stem at the top, you see, and it was marked, and it's floated on the whiskey, you see, and it, according to the weight, you see, and then you had a book, you see, and it tells you in the book, you looked at the weight and the weight on the stem, you see, and it told you what the strength was, you know. And then if it was, you'd always have a few points to work on, you know. Right. It was a simple multiplication division, so I forget now how you done it to bring 100, I would say 54 gallon at 10 over proof, to bring it to 30 under proof, you know. I forget now how to do it. I couldn't do it now, but I used to, you know, could do it like this. You multiplied it and to bring it down to the 30, you know. Right. Well, that gave you a rough idea of how many gallon you had to put on, you see. Different on it was the amount of gallons you had to put on. Well, we used to rack a cask there about 54 gallon until another cask behind the counter. You see, you couldn't rack it. You had to have 2 casks. You couldn't work with one, like, you know. You have to put the water. You have to have room to get the water on, you see. So you put the half of it onto the barrel and behind the counter, and put the whiskey put the water onto there. Often have 15 or 16 gallon of water to put onto it. And then you left the other one on the store till you had that done, and then you brought it up and done the same again, like, you know. And then you coloured it as well. You had to colour it then. Right. You know, the colour whiskey is clear nearly when, you know, it's on a sherry cask, you see, always. That's the best place for keeping whiskey, it's a sherry cask. But there's a wee certain tint, the sherry tints it a wee bit. But normally it would be clear, like, you know. But then you colour it with burnt sugar. You can do it with burnt sugar, or you get stuff for the purpose. And a wee bit about I used to, Rutledge the chemist, I used to go down to Hamilton, he'd give you a bottle of burnt sugar, 5-negging bottle of burnt sugar, like, you know, and about a half a glass of it would colour 20 gallons, you know, easy.
Very, very constant.
You had to be very, you had to know what you were doing, like, or you could put too much colour in it. You could take the colour out of it too.
How do you do that?
Sweet milk, he'll take it out of it. I've seen that done too, like, you know. Like the colour went wrong in it with whisky one time, not no cans when I was serving my time. It was colour went streaky or something on it. And didn't know what to do with it. Some traveller or someone told them what a pint of sweet milk in it. It's like, yeah, there was about 20 gallon in it, and took the whole colour to the bottom.
Well then, just you mentioned the travellers. What about commercial travellers? That would you get many stopping in the pub and many that?
Oh no, they just call in there for orders. You'd never get them. They'd never be staying in the public. They'd stay in when they'd be in for an order. They'd maybe buy a couple of drinks for somebody, or maybe mightn't bother anybody. But they wouldn't be staying that long. You give them an order and away they went, like, you know. If you were ordering stuff off them, if you needed it.
Well, do you know of any pubs where it was the practice to serve, for example, pot gin?
No.
Coloured as whisky. So that's like an old tale.
No, I never seen. I remember colouring a bottle of pot gin right myself, but it was for a fella that was going to England, and he was taking it with him to England, like, and there's a bottle of whisky, like, you know, coloured it like whisky, like it looked like whisky, but it was pot gin, all right.
It's just that you would hear tales, but it's more tales.
Okay, I never knew of anybody, never knew any pub having pot gin just on its own, like.
Well then, when you were working in O'Kane's in the town, did each pub have a different clientele? Or
Probably did. I couldn't tell you now. They probably did. Like, but O'Kane at one time had the main clientele of the town, like, you know, and he got a lot of the better to do people. You would come in for bottles of whisky there, and even for an odd drink, like, you know. Bank managers and one thing or another, like, hadn't listers, and I remember they used to come down the RM and 5 or 6 listers from the courthouse there, and they'd be poured on regular, like that was regular. And then met another up in the courthouse, and they were on drinking later, and somewhere lead it up swearing up in the courthouse, like, you know. Mind the old fella coming in, man, he says, that's a queer tight taste you swore the day. Somebody with him, like, you know. And I remember I was caught for the blackout in O'Kane's. It used to be the blackout at the time of the war, you see, and now light down in the cellar, somebody left the light on in the cellar, you know, in the town, and the windows hadn't been cleaned for 20 bloody years, like, you know, or maybe more. And you know, the light would have went out onto the, and this policeman come on, he says, come here, you see this, and if I had knew what he was, I could have passed a switch, I could have switched it off, you see, but I didn't know it one day. He says, I said, some of the lads left it on. What's their name? I said, you better take my name, so I am in charge here, you see. So he took my name, and I was summoned, and I had to go up to the court, you see, and I went up to the court, and everybody that, along with the RM, everybody had a solicitor got off for 2 shillings cost, and everybody had no solicitor was fined 10 bob. You see, yeah, they paid the solicitor 10 bob, or you paid the court fine you 10 bob. Bloody racket it was, like, you know. I was up twice for the blackout, once for the blackout and once. And the funny, the same day that I was up for the blackout for O'Kane's cellar, the manager of the bank was up for 3 wonders looking up above the bank, the provincial banks, like, you know. The same as me. Of course, I wasn't paying O'Kane, it was 2 bob, like, 10 bob to the... There was no solicitor, I had no solicitor, just... What have you to say? You better say nothing on here, like, you're going to be fined on here, like, you know, how long fine you on here.
Yes, you're going to be done anyhow, so.
So...
Well, were the Americans or the British soldiers have come in during the war?
Oh, surely.
And what were the Americans like? Were they pleasant?
The Americans, we tried to keep the Americans out as much as possible, like, you know, there's a few of them, we didn't cater for them, if you know what I mean, because they would drag you out of whisky, like, you couldn't have kept track to them with like bottles of whisky, like, we had plenty of whisky, like, right enough, but he wanted to keep it for his customers, like, right enough, give him his dues there, and but the Yanks would have, there were some of them coming, they were all right, but you never could weigh them up, you never could weigh a Yank up, you know, coming on, like, you know, you could never say to yourself, this fella's all right, or this. I could have an Englishman or an Irishman coming on, I could have seen trouble as soon as he came on the door, like, or should not, you know, you see, you know, the look of some fella, you say, this is I'm going to have trouble here, you know, 9 times out of 10 you'd be right, you know, but you couldn't weigh up a Yank. But they were all right, they were most of them, like, I never had any bother with the Yanks, right enough, you give them the dues, like, you never give me any trouble.
Well, would they have been much in evidence around the town at night?
Oh, there was town full of riding basically up and down the footpath, and horses and traps and everything, they were there, crowd, like, you know. But we had a fella called Paddy Turbot, worked in O'Kane's, he was a young lad, he was a teenager, you know. Sharing his time, like, you know. He used to stand like this behind the counter, and he was a very quiet fellow, like, you know. He's dead, unfortunately, like, he was a good lad, like, you know. But this Yank come on last night, and Paddy was standing on his head down, like, behind the counter, like, you know. He put his arm in there, it was a flat counter about the size of the height of the table. Made out flat counter, put his arm on the counter like that, and I looked at him like that. He says, tell us that's when they're going to bury you, you know. And just wait him up like that, you know. Poor Paddy standing on the head down, like, you know.
Well, then, would the military police have been about the town?
Oh, there's military police at that time. Yeah, but you didn't see them very often, you know. Unless it was, you seen them occasionally, like, you know, but they never would come onto the pubs unless they were sent for or something, I suppose, you know.
Well,
The Yanks had tough military police, all right. The Yanks, they was fixed them all right. They just hit them across the head with a baton and threw them onto the jeep and away, like, you know. No, the Yanks was tough. And there was, I mean, Billy Thompson told me the British Legion was, do you know, in Campsie there where the old British Legion used to be? The river's behind it there, you know. And this Slane was on this night and British Legion, he was giving them a bit of trouble, you see, and this big hefty policeman, military policeman come on and they told him about this boy, you see. Thompson says he got him just on the right arm, he said, he right with him, he said, come back a while after, he says, and Tom said, what did you do? He said, I threw him in the bloody creek. He called the bloody threw him in the river. He called it the creek, you know. Threw him in the bloody creek. He was a big strong fella, like, you know. Threw him in the bloody creek.
Well then, what about, was there music in the pubs at all?
Not at all, not at all.
Not even a piano?
They were singing, you anybody started singing, you said, that's enough, you know.
Right.
Stop the singing, because it always singing. Somebody starts singing party tunes, you see, and the next thing would be a row, you know. The only time you'd hear anybody singing was the 12th of July or something like that, when there'd be all the one crowd, like, you know.
Right. But it wasn't welcome any other time then?
No.
Well then, O'Kane's were wholesalers as well?
I don't know about the whole, didn't do a terrible lot, just locally, you know.
Well, what kind of
premises? Eh?
What premises would they?
Oh, just where the pub was, you know. I used to do the old books. I done all the wholesale books. I'll send out all the accounts and not up all the dockets and send out the accounts to the retail as well. Like, you know, the only thing the bookkeeping that O'Kane done was the invoices and things himself in the bank and all. He didn't let me do that, you know. But
well, then he would supply other pubs in the town. Then is that what you mean?
No, not some of them just, you know. If anybody that wanted anything off them would get it, like, you know.
Well, he used to supply the county club.
County club and the constitutional club. That's the Freemason crowd, you know. And who else? God, I can't mind now. My memory's way to hell.
What about the courthouse?
No, there was nothing on the courthouse at that time. And we played officers' mess in the camp too, and the BRA and the sergeants' mess. I think they done them during the wartime. But I can't remember who else now that they done. The Royal Arms, we suppose I did them at one time. That was about the height of it. Like, he didn't go out of his way looking for wholesale business, you know. Just about a local, just done all right. A good job, he didn't have to do much more bookkeeping to do. And you know, a big ledger, 21 tots on it, you know. And you get half rolled up a tot and somebody'd come on, you'd have to leave it. I seen me totting for half a bloody day at the one tot, like, you know. Couldn't you think there was, get the, I'll do the technical books now, and you get half rolled up a tot and somebody would come on, you'd have to leave it, you know. Oh God, it's four lines in each page for that. And when you come to the bottom, you had a tot and had all work out level, you know.
Right. No calculators then.
No calculators.
Well, then,
but I wasn't a bookkeeper, like, but when he asked me to do it, I thought to myself, well, it'd do me no harm to be able to do it, like, you know. And I was never nothing the better. I never give me anything extra for doing it. I should have looked for bloody money for doing it, like, you know. But
well, then you were saying that you got a wide kind of cross section of the people of Omagh.
Public Protestants and Catholics and everything, and all mixed there, you know.
What about women?
Very few women. Oldish woman, maybe an old woman that you knew, like, maybe would come on there, you know. But no young woman, you know. There was no that come on during the wartime, you know. I mind a boy called Sergeant Major McGough. It was he brought a knot on one day to get, I think he brought her on to make her drunk. And she drunk him onto the bloody counter, like, she walked out as steady as a rock, and he come out like this, half on his knees, like, you know. And he was doing whiskey into her and himself as well, but McGough got the worst of it. Sergeant Major, you know. Look, there were some nice fellas in the army, you know. Like. I met a fella in 1940. the conscripts were coming on. You know, but the summertime in 19 was very hot weather. And at that time we had draft baths, you see, and we had it all the years that I was there with draft baths as well as draft Guinness, like, but this draft baths, and you used to live at top on it the same as the Guinness top in the bath, you see. So this summer evening we had it down on there. You used to have to go down your hunkers to pull it, you know. But I got it up later on, but it was down this time, you see, and these 6 fellas come on 6 pints of bass, like, you know. That was the only beer we had, like, you know. And then we were all service closed, like, I was just hadn't come into town that night and we were out the cap and come back in again. And I was sitting pulling these, it was very high, the bass was very high, and I was tired to sitting in my hunkers pulling these pints to let them up at the top. And this fella says, you call that a pint? So I do. He says, I wouldn't take that where you from I come from. I said, you're not where you come from now, you know. So that's the way they want it here, you know. But he says, as a matter of fact, he says, I work in the brewery. See, so I got talking to him, a fellow called Jack Fellows, and him and me got friendly, like, you know. And I used to come up to her. I used to, every couple of weeks, or every week, I'd go, see her for 6 months, like. He'd come up 2 or 3 times a week, like, you know. He was a married man, like, and he was a settled fellow, like, you know. Hell of a nice fellow, you know. And him and me exchanged Christmas cards up till about 5 years ago. And I got the last card I got was from my daughter to say he was in the hospital with cancer. And she didn't even put her address on it. I never heard helped her there and something. But I exchanged every year. I get a card from him and I sent him one.
Well, and during the troubles, the long troubles, did you ever suffer any damage with bomb blasts or that? Or
there was a couple of ones. There was one that broke. And the first bomb that was, where's that it was? It was in Scarf's entry. And it broke every window from Scarf's entry till the quarters. I think it broke one of O'Kane's. There was one that didn't broke. There was a chemist there, but Jim Mullins had to escape, but the rest of them was all broke from that. And right across the quarters, like, you know. And I was in Johnson Park at the time, like, you know. I didn't reckon anyone was in Johnson Park. That's one particular one, you know. But sure, there was a bomb at the police barracks one night, you know. My brother out in Mullaghmore there, where he lived. And someone went into the kitchen at the back of the wanted to know who left the window open. The bloody window was out. It was the bomb at the police barracks. It's a couple of miles away, or near, you know.
But so over the troubles then, the O'Kanes didn't lose much.
No.
Well, then when did Brian O'Kane open the wine lodge?
Well, Brian come onto the bar about 60 something, you know. He was there in 65, and around about 65 or 64, 65, he opened the wine lodge, I would think, you know.
What kind of trade did he do?
No, he was doing all right. He was doing all right, but he had too many of these boys for serving themselves, like, you know. He was half good at the times, you see, himself, like, you know. He went on the drink, you see. That's what he had to give it up, you see. The doctor told him it was finished if he didn't stop the drink, like, you know. So then he had to get out of it. And old Frank had to pay 7,000 to the wholesalers for him after he did get it. Old Frank told me himself, like, you know. When I was leaving, I went down to see him, like, you know. And I was sorry he didn't tell me how to give me the 7,000. It wouldn't have been lost, like, you know. Artie Bell was his auditor, and Bell told me himself that he was asking him, O'Kane asked him about what he should do. Like, he says, why didn't you make me a partner? But he didn't make me a partner. No, I wasn't close enough to them, you know. They come to me to start the union and wanted me to put my name on the top of the thing. I was going to make them a scapegoat for the rest of them, you know. Like, they thought I wasn't the best pub in the town, you see. But that wasn't the point. I wasn't consulted about the thing in the first place. They just come to me asking, you want you to put your name on the top. Not at all. I wasn't going to be made a scapegoat for it. It was made out that I was the one that was the organiser of the thing, you see. So I wouldn't do it, and then it fell through. I've never done about it. Like, if they had to come and had to talk the thing over and come to some conclusion, like put it on in a circle or something, nobody's name was on the top, like, you know. But I would have went on to July. I would like to see the union, and O'Kane wouldn't have liked it.
Well then, had you much communication with the other publicans at all? Or
no, not at all, no. You never bothered about them, like, you know.
What were conditions like in the other pubs?
I couldn't tell you now nothing about them. Like I never worked in any other pub and I know nothing about them.
But you think
They were no better anyway.
Yeah.
Charlie Young was in Brothers and he was working day and night too, like, you know. I don't think he had any time off for, like, you know. And working on an old cellar too, like an old damp place, like, you know, and now the pub. Of course it's better now. There's no cellar work now. You see, everything comes now bottled and all the bottles stout. There's no bottling or none of that carry on now. Everything comes. All you have to do is carry it on and put it up on the shelf, like, you know. Stout and everything, beer and all.
Well, then you bottled stout in garages.
I bottled stout when I was serving my time.
And
the bottling in cranes too, but there was always lads serving the time that done the bottling, like, you know, washing the bottles, like, you know. And I hand washed the bottles too. There was no machine, or a machine, no canes for washing bottles, but I washed them with a brush just in your hand, like, you know. 2 bottles at a time, like, you know. Washing you up to the elbows in water, like, you know.
oh well, the bottled stout.
But I had hot water when I was serving my time, like, and plenty of hot water, like, you know. And the pipe coming out from the kitchen, from the range in the kitchen onto the store where you wash the bottles, you see, and you didn't wash in cold water, you know.
Well then, did publicans bottle beer as well? Stuart?
Bottle beer, we used to bottle Bass and Worthington and McEwen's sometimes, and Guinness, and then later on Smithwick's and O'Kane's. We used to bottle Smithwick's and some other beer. I get what made during the war. We used to get some other stuff. Cairns, I think maybe it was to call it beer. We used to bottle it ourselves. But we bottled quite a lot of Smithwick's. But Smithwick owned it at that time. You see, it's Guinness owns Smithwick's now, like, you know. But the Smithwick's, it was Smithwick's then when we were using it, you know. It was good beer too. Smithwick's was good, you know.
Well then, what about the pints? There were of Guinness. There was a triple X.
Well, what we sold was single X, what they call single X porter.
Is that anything like draft Guinness that
Just someone similar.
Will it be the same taste, or will it be the
Much the same, like, you know. We used to sell 13 firkins in a week, 64 pence in a firkin. That's 800 pence, like, you know.
And how long would it take from?
It wouldn't take you as long pulling a pint as it takes them now. You'd never get finished, like. You have to pull a pint now, fill it, and then let it sit for. And you have to wait about 10 minutes before you get the pint, like, you know. No waiting, you showed it up for hours.
It was
But
just
you worked a high firkin and a flat one. You see, when you work 2 firkins, you got the 2 wee barrels, like about those 10 gallon in each of the barrels, I think, you know. Well, when it run half down, the barrel got flat, you see. So you put on another new fresh one and high one, and you put that onto the side. You took off you had the other flat one run off, you see, and you took that off and put the one that you were using as a high one, put that over onto the flat and put on new half. So that's the way you worked it.
Right.
And all you want was a wee squirt in the bottom of it and fill it up, you know, and looked all right, you know.
And just
Now you have to have it, I don't know,
Nice.
balls and about with it, like, you know.
Well then, it would be just poured like a pint of beer, and then let's settle a couple.
Well, it was the 2 barrels, there was tops, you know, you had a top to turn it on, and you nailed 3 underneath it to catch the overflow, like, you know. One night we went firkins, you have to bore them to put the top on them, you know. Started to top this firkin, or no, I don't know what that was. It was might have been a metal one, and there were pitting thing on it, anyhow, you see. But to try to bore it, anyhow, there was one on each end, there was a place in each end to top it, you know. I'll never forget behind the counter topping this, Charlie Young and me. Charlie was at it mostly, you know, and couldn't get it onto this first place. Someone went wrong, so I turned it around and top it on the other side, you know. Turned it around, and the other side, bloody hot this ceiling. And Tommy, I'll never forget the Tommy, the porter running down the back of his neck, like, you know. And I had to go home and change my clothes. I was down it too, but I'll never forget Tommy's head, like, and the porter running down the back of his neck, like, you know. Lost about half of the firkin, about 4 gallons of it, you know. Oh, God. Another fellow called Eamon McKenna, you know the McKenna at the campsite? He was in O'Kane's at one time too, and there was the wooden firkins, and you used to have to bore them. You see, there was no pitting top on them at this time. You had to bore, and you bored it till you see a wee seep coming through it, you see, and then you hit the top and put on the other bit on top, you see. So Evan went to top this working this night, you see, and he hit it, and instead of breaking and going on, it went this way, and it was like a bloody spring, and the top would come up again every time he hit it, you see. So we had to turn it around and put a bung on it and turn it around on top, and so I now bore it far enough this time, you see. And he got the point of the thing through, and he lifted the thing out, and it just hit him between the two eyes, like this wee squirt of 40, you know. And I'll never forget him when he was groping him. You couldn't see why when the wee thing was put, and he just hit him in the eye, between the eyes, like, you know. Oh, God, oh, he's some good value, like that, some characters. Harry Taggart, he was another character, you know. He's dead and gone too. All these two people are all dead. You know the Taggart, you know Frank Taggart. Harry was in asylum for a while, like, you know. What the thing was wrong was drink, like, you know. They were always drinking tablets and everything was at them, you know. And he was on one night, you know, he used to come on he was standing down in the back of the, you know, down at the room door on there, you know. Standing down there, and Frank come on, or Frank was on, the brother, he was up at the counter, and the news was on the TV, and Frank was talking to the man on the TV, like, you know. And I went down, Harry said to me, he thought I was a bloody idiot, you know. And Harry had been in the asylum, like, you know. He thought I was a bloody idiot, you know. Harry was a great character. And he was on this night, and he was full, you know. But he was greedy as far as drink was concerned, you know, like, you know. And he couldn't pass it, you know. And he was a good fellow, like the best being at all, like, you know. I was very fond of him, like, you know. And he was on in here, and he was full, you see, and he was coming out through the bar, and there was somebody standing up at the top of the counter, and they had a pint of Bass, and they couldn't drink it, you know. They were fit. Here, Harry, would you drink this pint of Bass? And he put the pint of Bass to his head, and he never left it till he emptied it, and he sat there, and he turned round, and Donald opened the door, you know, the man with the one leg, and a spout just hit Donald, you know. And down there, and Harry, oh, well, sorry, like a spout just, you know. And Donald was that angry he couldn't speak, like, you know, he never spoke, you know. But I'll never forget, he just opened the door, and oh, God, but poor Harry was a great character. Oh, really? He used to come on to me when he'd be stuck, he'd go, give me a glass of beer, say. I'll give it to you on Saturday. He had no intention of giving him on Saturday. But sure, he says, I don't pass on have it, you know. No, he did, like, you know. Like, I always give him one, you know, like, I wouldn't stick him, like, you know, but, like, he was a great character for Harry.
Well, looking back over when you started in O'Kane's, or when you started in Garrity's, have you seen much change in Omagh and that whole town centre?
There's a bit of a change, but not that much change. The houses are nearly all much as they were, like, you know, except that some of them has been rebuilt. Like the electricity board there, that was Garrity's hardware shop. Years ago it was burned, and then the electricity board got it and rebuilt it there, you know. So there was a different type of house at that time. And some of the houses have been modernised, like, you know, but they're most of the same houses, like, you know. But there's a hell of a lot of pubs out of existence since I went to it, you know. When I went to serve my time, there was Charlie McAleer's in Campsie. Now he started in Campsie, and Conway's across the street, and Devlin's, where Devlin's sweet shop is, you know, where the sweet shop is now, that was a pub. And you go across the bridge, and there was Mullins on the left-hand side there. And there was, what do you call it now, this some one or other called, what is it called?
Paso.
Passover. What is it?
Paso.
El Paso, I said El Don Paso. They should put on it, you know. But and then there was for the corner house there. And then on another corner, the Dublin Road corner, there was McCluskey's pub. And then there was Garda's and Joe Campbell's. And there was McRae's, another side of the street. McRae's and Frank McNeil's. They're all gone. Frank McNeil's, McRae's, McCluskey's, Garda's and Campbell's. Them was all non-existent now. There's not the only pub now on Market Street as what do you call them?
Jimmy Maguire's. Jimmy Maguire's pub.
No, Maguire's and what do you call the other? Bogan's.
That's a Bogan's.
Bogan's and well, them two. Where there used to be McRae's and Used to be 5, 6. There was Frank McNeil's. And then up where Brian McGill was up, there was another one, was Henderson's pub. Yes, that was only a Protestant pub in the town. Well, that and J.D. Wilson's, where the El Paso was now, was J.D. Wilson. That was a Protestant pub. But then there was Henderson's, where that other place now, the what do you call it? What do you call that place there? You get the chip stuff on it, like, you know. Where Frank O'Kane's is. That's gone. There's another pub over in the corner of John Street closed there. And there used to be a couple of pubs. There was a pub in Abbey Street, way down at the foot of the Abbey Street, when I was young. Them's all gone, like, you know.
What about Bridge Street?
Bridge Street, well, there's still there was those McGraths, and there's one god in Bridge Street too. What do you call it? McBride used to have it. Mary Ayres, well, it's still there. That's strange now, but there's one where McGrath's used to be on the other side of the street. That's down an entry there now, like, you know. That's about the whole of, you know.
And were there no pubs then in the back market?
No, there was no pub there. No, that's a new place. McBride's in the back market. That's a new place.
But there were none on that other side.
There was no. That's a new license there. Like, I don't know how you got it. That's a new license, like, you know.
Well, then could you have got into the Bear's Paw?
I think you could have got on. I think there was a back way onto it, right enough. From the market yard at one time. There was some sort of a passage there. I wouldn't have thought it was used much, you know.
Well, then what about John Street?
John Street, well, there's still the same. I think the pubs. There's still the same number of pubs in John Street that always was on it. I can't remember any closing on it. No, I think there was. There was there's no. The only one that's closed is the one over at the corner, John Street. You know, next to you turn round onto George Street or James Street, or what it be called there. There's an old pub there, and sort of an awkward sort of a building, you know. Well, I think that's closed this year, like, you know. But that's the only one I don't know that's closed in John Street that I can think of.
And then out in Killyclahar there was only the one.
Only Earl Mary McRae was in Killyclahar when I was a lad, you know. We thatched house where McGinnis, we long thatched house, like, you know.
Is many's a gay night from dark till daylight I spend with people of high renown. But in all their grandeur and heaps to squander, my heart would wander for sweet Omagh town.